Hello my friends, and a very warm welcome back to my painting channel. And in this video I'm going to be doing something again just a little bit different, and we're going to paint some really cool looking go faster stripes on our Eldar Windrider bike. So we're going to use a little bit of masking tape, and we're going to see how this goes with a brush. So this is the first time that I've tried this, so we're going to have a little bit of fun trying out a few different things. Now first things first, I'm going to prep the model by covering this in a nice matte varnish. For this I'm using a Vallejo Premium airbrush matte varnish. This I find takes to the miniature really nicely straight from the brush. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to prep the surface so that this ties all of those colors together and protects all of those colors and sticks all of those colors together. Now why I'm doing this is because I don't want to put masking tape or any kind of tape on top of the miniature after I've finished painting without it being varnished and covered and properly secure, because otherwise when it comes to peeling the tape off, you might actually inadvertently peel off some of the paint that you've painted already. So all of that hard work and all of the painting that you've done could become undone in one single foul swoop just by peeling off some masking tape and losing all of that quality and all of that detail and all of your hard work. So we're just going to cover the model in this matte varnish just nicely so that this gives us a nice sort of tied together sort of color, protects the model, and it will give us a really good base coat and a really good base sort of starting point as to where we want to be able to put our tape, and then cover the model over and see how we go. So this is a cool way of adding more depth and more color into your Eldar army. You can make different stripes, different patterns, and all these different things on the front of their vehicles, and so on and so on. So for this, I'm going to be using the Revel 6mm masking tape. This I picked up in my local craft store. It is just a masking tape built for modeling, so it is a little bit tougher to get into than I was expecting when I first picked it up, and when you've got no nails you can't get into this really as easily as you'd hope. But yeah, this is a very nice, simple, easy to use sort of modeling masking tape. The 6mm diameter is great. It's perfect for our sort of size vehicles, and it's great in terms of building some really nice straight lines and some really nice uniform patterns across the model. And there you go, you can see it is just simply a little bit of masking tape, and we're just going to place that across the front once our matte varnish has dried. So now that our model is nice and dry and it is prepped and it's ready for the tape, we're just going to peel off a small bit of the tape. And the good thing with this being modeling tape is the tape isn't going to be too sticky as well. If you use some sort of masking tape, sometimes you can end up with really sticky tape. And if we do use very sticky tape, we could end up again peeling bits of paint or anything like that off the model. So yeah, try to be careful not to use masking tape that's too sticky. Also, I would recommend not trying to peel this off of the roll while it's attached to the model. This is something that I've learned while using the masking tape. It is actually a lot better to sort of find the size of the tape or the length of the tape that you want and then cut it to fit, which is what I'm going to do with the next bit here. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm planning sort of an angle to kind of give this model a really sort of cool, go faster kind of look, and then I'm just going to place 2 bits of tape across this. Now I'm leaving a large area at the front, so that gives us a really nice large orange area, and then the next bit I'm just going to place a little bit behind, and that's going to give us this really cool uniform stripe going just across the front of this model. Now you could place this across other areas, so these little wings either side, you could place the tape on those and build some orange up on those areas as well if you wanted to, or whichever color it is that you prefer to use for your Eldar. If you followed my sort of guide, or if you'd want to know how to paint the Eldar in this really cool, striking, almost sort of vintage kind of bright blue and orange color tone, then you can check out my Eldar painting guide in my sort of channel. I'll put a link up to that video in the description below for you guys as well. Now what we're going to do is, once the tape is there and everything, as I said, is dry and ready to go, we're going to use orange brown at first, and we're just going to brush this on. Now I know that when you're using the masking tape and things, it is better to use something like an airbrush. I don't have an airbrush, so I enjoy trying to paint sort of a little bit more complicated or a little bit more advanced things like this using a brush, because it's always interesting to see how these things work out. It's interesting for you guys to see whether or not it can be done using just a brush rather than an airbrush, but also I like to challenge myself and do some different sorts of things. Now what I'm going to try to do while painting this with a brush, you'll notice I'm going to try to paint or brush paint the paint sort of in the same direction as the tape. So we're going to paint sort of lines and straight lines across the direction that the tape is going, so that this will create a more uniform, a more pleasing on the eye sort of effect, and a more sort of pleasing kind of you know, like a more even sort of tone. I'm going to try to use a little bit of sort of thin down paints, but I'm not going to thin the paints too much because I don't want them running into the tape too much. And that's the danger that I'm finding with using the brush rather than an airbrush, is by using watered down paints, especially with the masking tape, it might sort of seep into the area with the tape. But we'll paint this along and we'll see how far we go, and we'll see where this takes us, and we'll see if there's any kind of adjustments or anything needed at the end, which I'm sure there'll be one or two, but it won't be too drastic. It shouldn't be the end of the world. It should be something that we can easily sort of paint across and enjoy painting. As you can see, just using this nice dark orange brown and just following along the sort of direction lines of the tape, just to kind of create that uniform pattern and create that really nice sort of straight line pattern across. Now I'm using this orange brown because this is a nice dark tone, so this is giving us a really good base color that we can sort of build up the color from. This is also giving us a really good sort of base color, especially across the middle area where some of the shade is going to be. So you can see just across the middle part there's an area that we want a little bit shaded. So by using the orange brown, this is giving us a really good base that we can then build that color, and that vibrancy is really going to pop. So once we've done this orange brown, we're then going to use the dwarf skin color, and I'm just going to build this up and doing exactly the same thing as we have done. We're just going to paint this using a nice sort of straight sort of lines on the brush, so following the pattern and following the direction of the tape, and just using a little bit of water just to thin our paints down. Now, as I was just saying about the sort of shaded recess point just in the middle, that's what we're going to do here, using the very tip of the brush with my old shaky hands. I'm just going to try to create that little buffer zone, that little sort of shadow or shaded area just across that little point there. And the reason being is, as you can see where the blue is shaded and where the blue is darker in that recess point, we're going to do the same thing with the orange, so that ties the orange and blue together, and that creates a little bit more depth and a little bit more sort of a uniformed realism to the painting and to the way that the paint is taken to the model. This is going to make the model look so much cooler at the end when it's all done, because those paints and those shadows and things are going to tie together really nicely. I'm just showing you me painting just a little bit across. You know, it's going to take sort of 1 or 2 layers of each color just to get the colors to pop and to get a vibrance up and to make sure that the color is nice and vibrant and nice and bright for us. You could see that I've added some of the orange just across to the back area as well, that rounded point just across the back. And that's just all about building sort of the patterns and the textures and however you want your particular craft world to look. So I've been enjoying painting the craft world, Eldar, purely because I'm enjoying painting something really vibrant, really bright, and I really wanted to show you guys sort of how vibrant and how bright you can go with these colors and with these sort of models and with this sort of army and things like that. I really love having a grim, dark sort of rough sort of futuristic setting like in 40k, but having really bright, vibrant models as well, so that they really stand out and really sort of almost talk about like a bygone era before sort of the war and everything sort of took over and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So from there, I'm going to use an AK Interactive. This is a medium orange color. This is a really vibrant color, and this is what's going to give our model this really intense vibrance and this really intense sort of bright orange color. It's really going to allow the model to stand out. Now, if you don't have the AK Interactive, it doesn't matter too much, because Vallejo do a really nice color called bright orange. It is fantastic. It is almost the same thing. It is just, I think, maybe a little bit less vibrant. The AK Interactive medium orange is really bright, and especially when you put it on top of this dwarf skin, it just seems to really pop and really stand out. It gives this insanely sort of almost sort of reflective kind of bright orange glow, which is fantastic, as I said, for the kind of army set that I'm looking for. So as I said earlier, if you are looking at painting your models in a similar sort of color, or you wanted to know sort of how I've done the color scheme, there is a great Eldar video in my channel, which I'll link in the description below. So yeah, just follow along with that if you want to paint sort of this blue orange kind of color, because it does look really cool on the craft world. So yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, this is just a simple little way of painting and building up the orange, as you can see, and you can already see that vibrance really starting to show through, and it is a really cool looking color. So you'll have to let me know in the description below what you think of my first attempt at painting through this sort of masking tape, this sort of bright go faster stripes onto sort of a vehicle, because this is the first time that I've done this. I'm always open to any tips that you guys have. Would you prefer it to be used with a dry brush? Would you prefer it to be used with a brush like so? So you have to let me know kind of what you think and how you think it's all come about. Now, the moment of truth, we're going to remove the masking tape. So I've waited a good couple of hours to let the paint fully dry down, and then I'm going to peel the paint off, and once the paint is off, I'm going to go across it once more with a nice layer of matte varnish. But this is a very sort of a difficult sort of stage, because you kind of want to pull the tape off, but you don't want to rip it off just in case you pull any of the paint. So I was really hesitant to sort of peel this back, and I just wanted to make sure that I had done a good job and see how far the paint had seeped through. So you can see there's a little bit of seepage, there's a little bit of paint has fallen through the crack, sort of just on some of the blue. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. That's okay. We can live with that, because we can use the blue then just to build that vibrancy back up just on the top layer of blue. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the be all to end all. It's not going to destroy all of the hard work that we've done, and it's something that is very easy to fix. Now the second one came out much better, like so. But I'm just going to quickly paint the blue, fix that, and then I'll show you guys sort of the finished article in just a second. And so there we go. That is the finished piece all done. That is the orange and the blue tied together, and you can see that real nice sort of uniformed line set that we've got from painting with the masking tape. It doesn't matter that there was a little bit of seepage, because that's easy to fix, and you guys will have to let me know what you think of this video, whether it was useful, informative, and how well you think it's come out with a brush at the end. Do we need an airbrush? Can we get away with using the brush? You guys let me know in the comments below. As always, my friends, I would like to take a moment just to say a massive thank you to all of you for your continued support, your awesome comments, for viewing, all these sorts of things. I really appreciate all of you, especially while I've been a little bit quiet with my work kind of taking over my life at the moment. But I will be back. I've made a fair few new changes to my sort of hobby desk and my hobby station, so I will be back. There will be a lot more videos coming soon, so stay tuned, and I hope to see you guys very soon on the next video. So thank you so much. Take care of yourselves,